Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Bell to Bells, your women's wrestling wire. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you for joining us here either on our YouTube channel or on your favorite podcast app, and you picked a good day to show up because we're continuing our series of interviews and talks with wrestlers who made it on the PWI 2020 Women's Top 100 list. That's a mouthful. And today, here's the reason why you picked a good day. This is the reason why, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna jump in today and see what's happening, you have decided to come on the day where we have wrestling legend LuFisto with us today. She's laughing, but she knows it's true. LuFisto, how are you doing? Welcome and thank you. It's a pleasure to have a chance to talk to you again.
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Congratulations on charting on the Women's 100 list this year again. Okay, well, let's start talking about the past year or so. And it's hard to talk about the past year without talking about the big Rona, the COVID-19 situation, which it affected pro wrestling on every level, but especially on the indie circuit, it's been the independents have been hit pretty hard. How have you been?
There's still no wrestling here. I haven't wrestled for like 7 months now, which is like I was doing fine because I try to use this as a time to heal, a time to refocus, a time to plan better. I work on I don't make gear, but I design it. So yesterday I just designed a new one for me, and I designed gear for my boyfriend and other people I know. So I stayed like really busy. I revamped my website because it needed it so bad. So I was really active.
It's so like, bad.
Why? But not in the ring. Like the good thing though is one of the last matches I had before we stopped everything is I got the opportunity and the honor to wrestle Tuco Scorpio, which was a match I was not expecting, but at least it's one of the good matches I had from this past year, despite the coronavirus.
Well, that's good, and wrestling Tuco Scorpio, that's a nice little feather. It had never happened before. This was the first time.
No. Like when the promoter says like, "Oh, I have your match," and he sends me the graphic, I'm like, "You're joking." It's like, no, it's true. This is real. So I was like, "Oh," it's like one of those matches. Like that's like when Tuco Scorpio was on was it WWE, even WWF back then? I always watched him and I was always impressed. I thought he was so like innovative and ahead of his time. So it's one of those matches that you kind of want, but you never expect it's going to happen, and then it does. So that was kind of cool. And also in the past year, I did win the WXW Femme Fatale tournament. So that was probably the biggest achievement. And I was the main champion of a promotion in Quebec, as well as a tag team champion, 2 male championships.
Well, look at that. Yeah, I think it's GNW, correct? The one you were talking about?
Actually, that's another
That's
one.
another.
So I had 3 titles. Ooh, okay. I was the main champion of LLCB in Quebec. I was a tag team champion in JCW. That's a promotion from up north in Quebec as well. And I just won the Great North Women's Championship before everything closed.
Before everything shut down, right?
And sometimes I don't even think about it, and it's right here. I have it on one of my shelves, but I didn't get to defend it yet. So it's like, yeah, that's true. That's like 3 championship plus the tournament that I won. So it was a pretty good year for a year I thought would be my last.
Okay, consider it. Yeah, in all things considering. Well, look, you just talked about it. Let's talk about it a little more. Yeah, you were supposed to retire. LuFisto, I saw one of your matches on your farewell tour, LuFisto, 2 years ago now. What's kept you in the business? Why did you decide to push it back, I guess?
Like I got injured. I fell down the stairs like an idiot in February 2019, and I had a bad sprain on my knees. Like my knee's bad. Like I'm sick and tired of this. it had been like 23 years in wrestling, and I'm like, it's not going forward. I feel kind of empty because I'm not reaching my goal, and I don't think I'll make it. And I was really depressed.
Right, right.
And so I just said, like, this is my last year. There's nothing else I can do. I don't know. And that knee's bothering me. And when I got cancer in 2008, I gained a lot of weight. Like, I've gained so much weight. Like, I lost weight when it happened. And then after, for some reason, well, because I was depressed, and I like everything that came with being sick in the United States, and the bills and everything that I'm still paying today, by the way. Yeah, I got really depressed, and I got really out of shape. And it's just like, it's like a whole year of bad things that ended up for me. Like, I quit. Like,
Sure.
this is enough.
Sure.
And like, I had my plan. I wanted to wrestle Tyson Dukes and then just go home and do something else. And I couldn't get that match happening. I met my boyfriend who knew me for 20 years, and he's pushing me like no one else ever did. It's like, I saw you work too hard, and because of him, like, being constantly like so supportive, is like, you can do it, you can do it. Sometimes you just need that one person who's going to believe. And I got myself in the gym. I got myself a trainer. I think I'm in the best shape of my life. Everybody says I have traps like Brock Lesnar, and I think it's awesome.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I used this COVID thing to kind of get back on track from like the rebirth, I would say, because I was really quitting. Like, I really, really meant it. And then I had a match with Josh Alexander.
Oh.
And I had like a standing ovation after. And I was like, this is when I realized, like, I think I might still have it. And I think I'm even better than I was, because with experience and with everything I went through, and I feel smarter as a wrestler. And I feel I can bring a lot more than I used to, like, even like years ago. And that particular match really, like, kind of, yeah, I don't think it's time. I think I have a lot more to offer. And the promoter of C4 Wrestling, when that match happened, said, I went to see him. It's like, I think I still have it. He's like, you never lost it. You only thought you did. And from there, like, I kept going.
Well, that's fantastic. And I mean, look, I wasn't trying to make you feel bad, because you still wrestling, it's all our gain. Trust me on that. Earlier you said, you were trying to keep busy, designing gear and stuff like that, but you've also been working on a book, right? Tell us about the book.
Yeah, ECW Press, finally, like, they contacted me, and Greg Oliver also, which is a fabulous author. He has so many wrestling books. And he reached out after Michael Holmes, the editor-in-chief of ECW Press, says, I would really like to make a book, release a book about LuFisto's life. They reached out, and like, I wasn't sure, but then after talking to my boyfriend again, he's like, do it, do it. So yeah, I've been compiling stories and going through my scrapbooks and the statistics of all my matches that I kept since the beginning. So right now we're in the process of getting everything together before we actually start writing the stories.
Well, that's, on a very personal level, it's going to be a book that I'm very, very very intrigued to read about, because I don't think, and a lot of people should read as well, because I don't think the scope of your work is properly appreciated, dare I say, because you have done so much, especially when it comes to women's wrestling on one side, but also intergender wrestling as well. I don't think that there's a lot of people who realize that you were at the forefront of it. You decided to start, or at least you worked into wrestling men because you just wanted to be booked on shows, essentially. And you've been doing it for the better part of, what, 2 decades now? Something to that effect?
Well, yeah, my first match with a guy was late 97, so I was just starting.
Sure, there you go.
My first championship is actually a cruiserweight championship in 98, and my first main title of a promotion is 2001. So a lot of people are like, oh, this is the first time this happens, or this, and it's all things that I've done throughout the years and years before. but people don't know. And I mean, it's not the bad thing is, like, I kept everything, like posters, flyers, pictures, whatever was internet back then, I would print stuff. But there's not a lot of information online that you can actually, unless you go on my website or something very specific that somebody knows the story. Like, it's not as easy to find stuff from the late 90s
No,
or
it's
the
not.
beginning of 2000s, because people were not online and posting everything in clips, and we were still in the land of
Sure,
VHS
we were
back then.
trading tapes and stuff like that.
Bringing my camera that I would ask someone, like, can you film my match, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the information is, it's kind of missing, or sometimes, like, even my Wikipedia page, like, there's so much stuff that's like wrong, and I try to correct it, but somebody like erased what I did, and it's like, oh, you can't do this. It's like, this is me.
Yeah,
I know.
it's weird. Wikipedia is a
But
weird thing. Yeah.
I gave up with Wikipedia. But yeah, hopefully with having a book, people will know the struggle and the history
Yeah.
of intergender wrestling, because it's not new from this year or even 10 years ago. We would go back like almost 25 years.
How do you? Oh,
And
sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was going to say, there's, like, people will remember China, and they will know a little bit about maybe Miss Texas, who had
Sure.
matches, and of course Andy Kaufman. But there was people like on the indie scene who did not just have like matches here and there, but actually built a career on intergender wrestling. And that history is missing right now.
Hmm.
So hopefully in my books, I'll be able to connect the dots till we get to today.
How do you feel about the state of intergender wrestling today in 2020?
Well, there's such an evolution, because when I started, guys didn't want to wrestle me, and like, they would, like, really, not everybody though. I met really nice wrestlers along the way that saw me as, an equal, as a
Sure.
wrestler. But back then it was so taboo. It's like, oh, I'm gonna look bad if I wrestle a woman, and if I hit a woman, my mom won't be proud. And today, at least, like, people, there's that evolution where they see it as a competition. It's two athletes fighting each other. They both want to be there, so it's not domestic violence. The girl is trained to be there, and it's just like a one-on-one fight with people who usually train together, like at the same school, or the women today train with the guys. So it's a lot more accepted, and that's good to see, because you'll show up to a show, and if you tell, I mean, Chris Dickinson is one guy that wrestles the women or the men. He doesn't care. If we go to the show, it's like, hey, you're wrestling LuFisto today. He's gonna say, oh, cool.
Hmm.
That's gonna. Back then, it would have been like, another guy would have said, like, oh man, I'm wrestling the girl. What it's gonna look like? And it's like, there's such a, like, yeah, the evolution is great, and I'm really happy that today the women get to choose who they fight, men or women.
That's fantastic. I agree, and it's a really good point that you bring up. That of course it's behind the scenes, we don't see it, but a lot of the guys and gals train with each other, so they're pulling moves on each other in the rings in class regardless. So it's just a natural progression. It's something we don't necessarily think about. You've been very vocal this year on answering AEW open challenges, right, on Twitter and stuff like that. That's, I guess, COVID has been keeping the wheels spinning there too. Has anything popped up from that? Has there been any contact, any interest?
The only thing that was out there was Cody Rhodes telling people that I was a very well respected veteran, and like, he had really, like, nice words to say about me. So that's one thing. Sheeta never answered my challenge.
She's
I'm still waiting.
she's afraid. She's scared. I'm putting it out there. Sheeta fears LuFisto. There you go.
But there's so many people I would love to work with at All Elite. I mean, they're not into intergender wrestling, and that's totally fine. It's something understood, like, as when I started wrestling. I know some people are not into it, some people are, but their women's division, I think I could bring a lot to them as somebody who can guide, who can teach, who can even, like, I learned in the process too when I work someone who has a little bit less experience. I always talk about how I would love to work with somebody like Abaddon, because she's like an AEW product, and she's building herself, and she's willing to do it and try so many things. So I could see myself build a feud until we get that big stipulation match. I've worked Nyla Rose once. I would work her every day. She's a wonderful human being, and yeah, I just love to fight with her. And Thunder Rosa, always had great matches with her. Penelope Ford too. Like, there's so many girls I would love to wrestle. I was vocal about I've never wrestled Big Swole, and she's like, yes, we need to fight. And just this week, I posted a match with Shauna, and she's like, oh, I need a rematch. And I'm like, oh man, I wish we could have it on TV, because the match we had was so good years ago. And now I feel I'm better, and she's better too, and we both gain experience. So I would really love us to fight with them on a bigger stage.
Sure. Well, hopefully that'll happen in the year 2021 coming up, because clearly you've said it yourself. You still got stuff to give. And I think as a wrestling fan, it's our gain that you're still around performing in the ring. What's the big plan for you moving forward? Let's say we get an ideal 2021 here. What's the big plan for LuFisto moving forward?
Definitely a contract. That's what I'm looking for. Go. And a lot of fans are very vocal about me either going to Impact, Ring of Honor, or AEW. So I can only hope that one of them is going to listen and give me a shot. And once I go out there, I know I'm going to kill it. I've never been as confident in my abilities as I am right now. Yes, I do have that French accent, but yes, I can talk. I can wrestle. I can be a spokesperson in French if you come to Canada or France. There's a lot of things I can do. If you need gear, I can design it for you. If you need graphics, I can help you with that too. Like, I'm a jack of all trades. I can do like so many things. I can be an agent. So I think I would be a good asset with any of those promotions.
Bring her on board, lay off the rest of your staff, let go the graphics people. No, I'm kidding, of course.
No. Oh, you know what? No, graphics for wrestling is so demanding. No. Like, I did like a lot of posters and websites and stuff for indie promotions. It's a lot of work. So these guys are doing a great job too. I love like the matches and stuff of
no, of course. I was kidding.
I love also what Ring of Honor's doing with the Pure tournament, the Tale of the Tapes and everything. It looks so good and like sports-based oriented, like wrestling, which I love.
And yeah, I love it too. That's what I love the most about it. Just like I enjoy talking with you, LuFisto. I'm really happy I got another chance to do it today. Thank you very much for joining us. What's the best place if people want to follow you and make sure that they're up to date on everything LuFisto related?
Go to LuFisto.com. From there, you get the full real story, the real information, all the championships. And from there, you also have access to all my social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. All the links are there. So all you have to remember, LuFisto.com, and you can get anywhere and get some cool merchandise too.
Get the merch. Get all the merch. That's really, really good. LuFisto, again, thank you very much for joining me. It was indeed a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And thank you everyone for watching and or listening today. If you're watching on YouTube right now, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You know how it goes. I don't have to go through the routine. Y'all know how it works by now. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. Thank you very much for joining us. See you again soon.